proceed to learning how to tie the rope or the paracord bracelet, or to create the paracord bracelet, I want to first discuss the anatomy of a rope. Okay guys, so let's discuss the anatomy of a rope and some basic knot terms. So at least before we proceed to creating our paracord here, you will have an idea on the basic terms on that I will be using as we go along with the lecture. So as you can see here, we have the two tails. You can call them tails, or let's say generally in rope management we call them working ends or ends. But some instructors will be explaining to you that this part, especially the part that you connect to an object or you use to place the knot or connect to an object, this is what we call the standing end. Okay, the standing end. So at least you will be able to differentiate the part of the rope that is connected to an object from the other end, which is the working end that we will be working with. Okay, that's why it's called working end. Okay, so now the part that is down here, which is the body, is what we call the standing part. Standing part of the rope. Okay, that's the standing part. So because that's the one that is laid down. Okay, so if you see in the middle of the rope a formation that we have created here, if for example the standing part, we have the standing part here, and you form a formation like this, a curve in the middle of the standing part, that is what we call a bight. Okay, that is what we call a bight. Okay, that is a bight. So sometimes you will hear some instructors telling you create an overhand on a bight, overhand loop on a bight. So that means you have your overhand loop on a bight. Okay, so we have a bight here. So let me just arrange it again. Now, the next thing that I want to explain here is what we call the loop. So generally, when we talk about loops, it's you crossing over on another part of the rope. Okay? So if, for example, here, in this example, this is a bight that we have created out of the curve. If we place this and cross it over like this, okay? So that means this part of the rope is a loop. And generally, if we start tying our knot from the top of the rope, okay, that is what we call an overhand knot. Okay? So, but if we go under, okay, so as you can see here, we have the working end here, and it's the direction of the loop here is from the bottom part, and you tie your knot here, that's what we call an underhand loop. Okay? So if it's on top, and we start tying our knot from the top, it's an overhand loop. But if it's from the bottom, okay, and we tie our knot from the bottom, so from here, okay, we are starting to tie our knot from the bottom, that is what we call an underhand loop. Okay, so we have a bight. We have a bight. Once we cross it over, facing from you, this is our working end. And if I tie it from, this is the top, it's called an overhand loop. Okay, but if I tie it from the bottom, okay, starting from the bottom, as you can see here, and I start from the back, that is what we call an underhand loop. Okay, so now let's proceed to creating our paracord bracelet.